But never mind atop the table. Right now, what's going on in the relegation battle, it's something else. As between 12th place Crystal Palace and 20th place Southampton, only 4 points separate all those teams. So we decided to go through the futures market on Pinnacle, and Jake's going to share a thought of each and every one of these teams who are right in the relegation battle here. So do you want to start from the bottom, or do you want to start from the top of the pack here? Which way do you want to go through this? And Jake will just share a thought on each and every one of these sides.
Yeah, well, I think we go top down. If we start off at Crystal Palace and make our way down to Southampton.
Okay, so
a lot of teams to cover.
Yes, so 12th place Crystal Palace, they're on 27 points. The odds for relegation on Pinnacle is at plus 550.
Yes, obviously managerial change, which we have to factor in. But the irony is that Crystal Palace, from a data perspective, are in exactly the same place as where they were when Roy Hodgson left the club 2.5 years ago, in the sense that they're ranked as the third worst team currently. So he effectively takes over exactly where he left off from an underlying data perspective. Their schedule is, on paper, the best of the relegation candidates because they play everyone below them. Now, I say on paper because you lose a couple of those, they're big 6-pointers, and all of a sudden it looks like a really tough schedule. So one to keep in mind, Crystal Palace, that from a data perspective, if they carry on the way they have been, which seems likely given what we saw from Roy Hodgson when he was last in charge, then they might get dragged even further into it.
Wolves are in 13th, plus 350 to be relegated on Pinnacle as well. They're level in terms of games played on 28 with Crystal Palace.
Yeah, since Julian Lopetegui's taken over, results have improved, but the underlying data has got worse, which is worrying. Their expected goal difference per game is down around about 0.1 of a goal. So there's reason to be concerned for Wolves' perspective. I mean, the only positive really is the quality that they have in the squad, and that if they do put it all together, they will pull clear because they do have, in my opinion, one of the better squads, one of the better starting 11s of the teams down there. But the data trend's not positive at all.
Leeds United are 14th, 26 points through 27 games played. They're at plus 300.
Yeah, I'm not on the Leeds back bandwagon. The Leeds are safe. 7 points from 12 is a good return, but performances have been poor in that time. They've been really fortunate. Conceded 2 expected goals in both matches, the last 2 against Brighton and Wolves. And any team that concedes 2 expected goals against Wolves is on my radar as a bad team. So, yeah, it's not a good recipe at the moment. And if they continue to perform at the same level, they could very easily go down.
Everton's also on 26 points. They're in 15th place. They played one more game than Leeds United. On Pinnacle, they're at plus 150.
Yeah, Everton are probably one of the teams I'm sweetest on in terms of survival, just purely because they're creating chances. That's something that not all the teams down there are doing right now. In fact, only 7 teams have created more expected goals for per game than Everton since Sean Dyche took over. So they are definitely creating enough to fire themselves to safety. They do need to tighten up at the back if they're to pick up points consistently. But every other team is on the decline from a data standpoint, and Everton are on the up.
We're at the halfway point of teams fighting for survival. 16th place Nottingham Forest. They're on 26 points through 27 games as well. They check in at plus 100, just 2 other sides with shorter odds.
Yeah, they're definitely a team that are sinking right now. They steadied the ship and they are sinking again. Started poorly, recovered quite well, and defensively they looked solid. But the last 6 matches before the break were alarming, to say the least. I mean, they were second best in all of them. They conceded an average of nearly 2.4 expected goals against per game. And that really isn't a very good sign as we come down the home stretch.
They have a goal differential of minus 27. Only Bournemouth is worse in that category. Leicester City, they come in at 17th place. They're on 25 points through 27 games, plus 450. Only Crystal Palace of the relegation teams have longer odds as of right now.
Yeah, so Leicester are kind of the opposite of Leeds. Leeds picked up results, performances weren't very good. Leicester, before the break, the performances were good and they were unlucky not to pick up more points. They created the better chances against Chelsea, better chances against Southampton, and the better chances away at Brentford, which was a bit of a statement performance, I thought. We're very sweet on Brentford when they play at home, but Leicester went there, limited Brentford very well and created good chances. So inconsistency is a problem. but over the course of the season, they have ranked 14th best. So this data would suggest that they will pull clear and survive.
The biggest surprise of the bunch is 18th place West Ham United. They are on 24 points, but they've just played 26 games, 2 in hand on the likes of Palace and Wolves ahead of them. They come in at plus 400.
Yeah, they're a baffling team, West Ham. They've ranked top half according to all the data metrics. Expected goal difference is positive, which kind of suggests that if they maintain that current level, results will take a turn for the better. However, they have a tough schedule, arguably the toughest of all the relegation candidates, and they've got European commitments and a couple of extra games in the league to play. So they're going to have a stacked schedule, a tough schedule, and that could really negate all the positive underlying data that we're seeing. So a little bit concerned about West Ham. I think it all really depends on this weekend as to what kind of footing they can get themselves on before a tougher schedule appears.
Bournemouth is also on 24 points. They're in 19th place. They have played 27 games at Pinnacle, minus 175 to be relegated.
Yeah, Bournemouth were showing signs of life. They'd picked up and obviously beat Liverpool, but performances against City and Arsenal were both very good. They created plenty of chances in both, but absolutely hammered at Villa. So a little bit tough to assess. But the only thing we can really pin our hat on is that the Cherries, they have been the worst defensive team in the league this season. They're conceding the most amount of chances on a per game basis, and that is not very good when it comes to trying to survive. So yeah, that really is huge alarm bells. If they don't tighten up, they will be going down.
And bottom of the bunch, it's Southampton on 23 points through 28 games played, minus 226 on Pinnacle to be relegated, 23 goals scored, but minus 23 in goal differential. They're in real trouble.
Yeah, they're in serious trouble. And Ruben Sellers is trying to steer them to safety with what we'd call low margin football. So create very few chances, concede very few chances, and hope that luck's with you and that you get a 1-0 win. That's not a sustainable way of playing. It's not a sustainable way of picking up results on a week-to-week basis. And ultimately, unless they start creating more chances, they're going to go down because they've been one of the worst teams in the league in terms of expected goals for per game since he took charge. So, they need to really start playing more on the front foot.
So well done, Jake. There you go. The rundown of the contenders. Do you want to call them contenders or more like pretenders in the Premier League who may be more likely to go down than the rest? And of course, a lot of the sentiment will have to do with what plays out this weekend with some critical ties that we'll get to in just a few moments' time.